Whatever mental health looks like for you, all of us are here for you.
What is your profession?
We will encourage you, inspire you, and build confidence in you to truly be yourself and to tackle the world. Hello there again, and welcome to Season 9 of Lobow Spark, the power of friendship. This season will focus on the close relationships we have with each other and the support that is so vital for all of us with ADHD and every neurodivergent. Lobow Spark is proudly supported by Terri Shubilla, Casey Elliott, Sarah Delano, Justin Allingham, Blushing Crafter, Jamie Young, Leo Guinan, and Kirk Hofstrom. Lobow Spark has started a fundraising effort for Crisis Text Line. We have a goal of $19 per episode, as $19 supports one person in their time of absolute crisis with their mental health. If you would like to donate through our fundraiser titled Lauren's Infinity, the link is listed in the episode's description. Lauren was my wife's best friend and loved by all that came into contact with her. Lobow Spark is proudly sponsored by Feather. Feather your impact with Feather CRM. If you need help managing your online relationships, go to www.feathercrm.io. You can also follow Feather on Twitter @FeatherCRM. The music in this episode is provided by Guy Farmer. Please look him up on iTunes. He is an outstanding musician and also one of my closest friends. Today, this incredible group of ADHDers will discuss the very title of Season 9, ADHD and Friendship. A very special thank you goes out to Terri Shubilla for bringing this topic to the table. I have 9 friends on this episode. The 9 friends featured. See, I hate this. I hate saying featured. I hate all this fucking bullshit. But what I am going to say is that I love you, Leo Guinan. I love you, Blushing Crafter. I love you, Ross Jones. I love you, Kirk Hofstrom. I love you, Justin Allingham. I love you, Terri Shubilla. I love you, Dorsey McFadden. And I love you, Mercedes Mansilla. That's what I'm going to say. Together, we are something for someone. Today's topic is ADHD and friendship, and it was brought up by Terri, who also named the Friday get-togethers ADHD with benefits. That was what she came up with, which I thought was brilliant. And friendship means a lot to me, but I never really struggled making friends. I want to know what ADHD effects in you in terms of, like, was it easy to make friends when you were growing up? Was it hard? And how does friendship play a role now in your life? Does it help with your ADHD? Does it not? Do you feel too obligated towards friends? I mean, there's a lot of things that go into this, but what we're doing right now is friendship, in my opinion, and that is helping. But Terri, if you would like to explain just a little bit of why you chose it, and then after that, I will call on people to give their ADHD and friendship opinions and whatnot.
Okay, so I think everybody pretty much has heard you say over and over again, like, friendship is the answer. Friendship is the answer, how important it is. And I know, like, the beginning of the summer, you were helping me through some things and just kind of being there, supportive and everything, and talking about, like, friendship is so important. And then you were actually also being a friend, and it has been very helpful, and just in the fact of getting me through, and so many other of you on here tonight that have helped me through so much. And when you were doing your theme for this new season, and like how the friendship aspect is so important, I was like, oh, why don't we talk about it, so
That's perfect, actually. Why don't we talk about it? I mean, I think it needs to be talked about. I am going to call on Ross first because he's a newcomer, to this group, and I love it. Ross, you are so awesome. Like that, I listened to our episode over and over and over. Like that was so much fucking fun. So
It was good fun.
ADHD and friendship to you.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, I don't feel that I massively have trouble making friends, but I don't feel I'm often a very good friend because I just forget. Like, for me, it's like I can be the best friend. If someone needs me, I'll be there. Like, so when it comes to those sorts of things, like if someone just said, if someone literally picked up the phone and then called me right now and said, I need you, and I class them as a friend, I'd be like, what can I do? I'll be there. But because I'm so caught up in my own mind, I don't feel like I am the person that's always there to be like, you're all right, how you doing? You're all right, how you doing? I'm not, that's not me. And so often I feel that I'm not the normal friend that will be always there, but if you ever needed me, I would be. And so, and this, the whole thing tonight was, I was saying to Kirk earlier that I had a day of it, like I had a real day. And then I saw this in my inbox and I was like, I know where there's a safe space. And the last time we spoke, I'd had a real day. And so I was like, I need like-minded people. And so it's like, it's quarter to 12 here at night. So normally it's trying to fit that in on my Friday evening. And so it's not always easy, but today I was like, this is what I need. And equally, it's like, it's a selfish thing for me, but at the same time, I figured that this is where I wanted to be. And so, yeah, that's kind of me. But like I'm fiercely loyal when it comes to friendship, but I don't feel that comes across that often. You know what I mean? Like I don't feel like because of the way that I am, that people don't see that I am. But if anyone ever called upon it, I would like fight for anything to be there.
You bring up a great point with how you said that, as in I'm not the one that checks in constantly, but I'll be there for you at the, when the shit hits the fan. I think that's stereotypical. I mean, that's ADHD in a nutshell. I think a lot of what we miss is the constant checking in. So just one thing for me is I like to consider checking in with someone as that ultimate crisis. That is the shit hitting the fan. Hey, how are you? That is shit hitting the fan, because you never know.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
But so thank you, Ross. That is amazing. Blushing, ADHD and friendship to you.
So I was actually the kid that could make a couple of friends, but I didn't manage to do what people said was like real friendships until my teens. And then it was always very few, like a small handful. I don't think I've had a whole lot of issues with being in contact with people. Me connecting with them, like being the person to take initiative. So I haven't had that issue. But when your ADHD brain is taking so much brain power that you are like really, really exhausted, a lot of the time, yes, you connect with people, but do you have a whole lot to give without that taking you down to a place where you don't have anything left, right?
Right.
Because it's very rewarding to help other people and to be a friend, but it's also when you're in a bad place, it's really, really potentially damaging to you if you can't build up a little bit before giving, right?
Yeah, and we talked about that, I think, a couple episodes ago. You're absolutely right on that. I would like to go with Mercedes next. She seemed to really resonate with what you said, Blushing. So,
yeah, definitely. I was listening to her and I was like, yes. Yeah. So growing up, I didn't have, it was really easy for me to make friends growing up as a child. And as a teenager, but as you grow older, I never, since I noticed that I had ADHD when I was 29, I actually never knew that I had this problem. So I never knew how to mask my ADHD. So making friends when you're young, it's easy. When you grow older and you can't mask your symptoms, and you're in like maybe in a new place where you don't know people, you may come across as the odd one out. And growing up, that was normal for me because, I was goth, and, I made friends who were goth as well, and we were all the odd one out. So it was really easy to make friends like that. But growing up, when you're like, maybe, I don't know, at an office or something like that, and all of a sudden you're, I don't know, you're behaving like a child, and people look at you, it's hard to make friends. Especially where I live, people, I don't know. I mean, I know that in the US, people are more aware of these things, and there's, many people are different, and that's okay. For everybody, there is something. But here in Argentina, it's like most people are kind of like the same. They like the same music, they go to the same places, and when you're the odd one out, it's super hard to make friends. Actually, make friends on the internet much easier, because you actually get to find people who resonate with you, rather than just the people who surround you that may have nothing in common with you. So, and yeah, and regarding what Blashin was saying, I'm the friend that everyone comes to when they need advice. Hey Michi, I need advice with this or that, or my business or whatever. But when I need them, they're usually not as willing to help as maybe I am. And there comes a point when you have ADHD where you can't pour from an empty cup. And at this point in my life, I feel like I'm at that point. So I can't be the friend who is helping constantly.
I feel that exactly what you're saying is but I think a lot of it is that we're so high and heightened, all the time, or low all the time, whichever it is, whatever day it is, that we kind of expect that reciprocation on our level, which no one can really do if they don't have ADHD, which is what makes this group so much fun, is that you can't reciprocate it on these high levels, if that makes any sense. Welcome, Justin from Australia. How are you, buddy?
I'm here, dear boy.
Okay,
so good to see you all, darling. Hola, Mercedes.
So
Mercedes, esa niña muy bueno.
We are talking about ADHD and friendship, and we got to keep it moving because we got a lot today.
I'll do the thing.
Okay. Do the thing. Awesome. So, Kirk, I would like to hear from you next on ADHD and friendship.
Geez, I could talk about this for a long time.
I know.
Yeah. So, yeah, I grew up in a very nerd group friendship. So I didn't really, and I didn't have any trouble making friends when I was young. I had the same friends from when I was 5 years old to when I was 18 years old, and that did not change. I am still friends with those same people. I can text any of them right now. I'm still really bad at replying to texts. That's probably not going to change. I still have a core group of college guys that I talk to. We were chatting today. We have a group chat. It has become a lot harder as an adult to find new friends. I'm sort of find a couple people I like at this job, and find a couple people I like at this job. I have found that I either have to create my own community, which is a lot of work. I really got lucky at one job. I was in charge. I got to hire everybody, and staff was amazing, and we all got along, which is fantastic. My current job, there was a minute where we had 4 people on staff in our store, and 3 of them had ADHD. So we all got along again. So I got really lucky. I think one of the hardest parts for anyone with ADHD is keeping in contact at the same pace that everyone else in the world keeps in contact with each other. We either want to info dump on you and be like, so can we talk about everything in the entire universe in these next 10 minutes or for the next 10 hours, or I totally forgot that you existed for 4 months. Yeah, so it's either let's info dump for 10 hours on someone until they cannot handle it anymore, or I totally forgot you existed for 4 months. I'm so sorry. And you don't feel any differently about them. You just ADHD'd off onto other things.
Right.
I feel like that's what we all do.
Yeah, I will save mine till the end. Dorsey, what do you have to say on ADHD and friendship?
You know me, I've just been scribbling notes.
Oh, I know. I as usual, it's going to be an awesome situation. But,
Well, and I also read something really interesting today. It's an article by a really neat person who wrote a book on social stuff. And this quote, oxytocin helps us read social cues better, which in turn help us notice and filter social stimuli, a key challenge for those who can feel bombarded in social settings, which obviously ADHD people can. And my whole thing didn't make sense, I guess, until later in life, but I was more friends with animals than with people. And I think I've been lucky to always have at least one or two true friendships in my life. But now looking back, since I was diagnosed for anxiety and treated, now looking back, I can say I was on an exhausting trip that I did not know about. And I was pushing myself so hard to be what I saw as the right kind of social, which was kind of my mom. And I was so social and just could change to please people, to be in different groups of people, so many friends with so many people on a shallow level, on a very shallow level. And I pushed myself so hard that it triggered an autoimmune response. I mean, that's also part of my whole journey thing, right? But we can do that. We can push ourselves so hard that we hurt ourselves. Because I was always like, it was easy, but it was like, you're too much, right? You guys know what I mean. You're too much.
yeah.
But I've come to embrace a new attitude about friendship because ADHD connection is so healing and it's so invigorating and it's something everyone should experience. But I've adopted a new attitude towards friends on the outside. And I think it's a good one that hurt a lot to learn. And I think you'll all understand because we can get attached to people, right? So my attitude is, and I wrote it down, that people come into our lives for a reason, for a purpose, and then they move on to touch someone else's. And that has made it a little easier to understand why so many friendships didn't work out, but it works for me.
There you go. I love that, actually. You're a spark, Dorsey. Momentary flash of light. This
I feel like for the first time, I'm figuring out who I really am versus that mask. And like, it's somebody who stops and starts talking. It's somebody who likes to write down stuff, but it's so much more intentional. And I love that. And
That's
I think
awesome.
it feels good.
Yeah, that's tremendous. Justin, what does ADHD and friendship mean to you? What does friendship mean to you? I know.
Initially, it meant not being discerning enough. So when you come from kind of like a people-pleasing, codependent background and an abuse background, it tends to be, who is my friend? Everyone, everywhere. Come to me, be my friend. No! And you become more discerning over time because when, like, I'm interested in the intersection of ADHD, but also ADHD as a trauma response to sort of, there's differing views of thought about ADHD as a trauma response, and I'll get into that more another time. But essentially, I occasionally pick the wrong friends. I sort of invested myself into people who sharks smell blood. It's a bit of a dark topic, but if you look into the literature and the facts around narcissism, essentially there's predatory personality types that can see codependent personality types coming, and our need for connection can make us vulnerable to those types of people. So learning to be, boundaried in our friendship, but also kind of intentional in the way we pick up on social cues. Like I could immediately pick up on the social cue that you gave me because of our connection. Like our social cues work better in that climate of connection. Not everyone will kind of do that for us. So being more discerning over time was very, very, very important. I think the thing I struggle with most particularly is the dichotomy between what people will say when they see you versus what people will naturally do to reach out to you, or how comfortable you can feel reaching out to other people. So basically, I would be in situations where I wouldn't see people for a period of time. And particularly because I was at university as a mature age student, a lot of my friends were younger than me. But I would go out and I would incidentally see someone that I knew from university, and I would be in the middle of what we call in Australia a kebab shop, which is essentially like, I don't know if you guys understand what a kebab is, but essentially it's like late night beer food. And people would, people would come up to me, people like girls I knew at university would come up to me, jump on me, like I was a tree and they were a koala. And me being me, I'm like, I used to be a fat kid. I'm like, hi. But then there was that energy I got in the moment that was like that. If I'm that great, you could ask me to hang out. It's like, what? Am I this or am I that? So basically growing up, my upbringing wasn't particularly self-affirming, but the world outside that home life was very affirming. So I was like, am I this or am I that? So I have a number of really good friends that I got in the habit around COVID of, just not seeing. And then you get that thing of, if you want to organize something, I don't know if you guys have ever been canceled on, but you take the risk of going, I choose you, and then it not working out, and you go, did I do something wrong? Mm-hmm. So you stop taking the risk of organizing things or initiating things. So if anyone else had thoughts on initiating things, I think that would be interesting, because I think we need that. I don't know about you guys. I think we need that connection, but we're sometimes too scared to initiate it. But as soon as we get it, it's like, yes, that's yes.
Yeah. No, that's
Yes.
that's exactly right. And so, because it's people's, when you're friends with somebody, you can recognize their weaknesses and what they don't like doing, what is uncomfortable for them. So you can help them do that. If they feel awkward in a situation, you could say, hey, you won't feel awkward. I'm there. Like, that's a big thing with friendship, I think. And especially people with ADHD, we sense that. We know when someone's feeling a little off or awkward or whatnot, and then we leap right in and say, okay, I got you. That's it.
One more question.
That's a huge thing.
Question.
Yeah.
Yeah. One more question. If anyone else also had ideas on, because I have a little bit of a happy puppy vibe, sometimes when I do get positive feedback from an environment, not this environment, but, others, there's the dichotomy between the way people really feel about you and the way, the stuff that they think you feel the need to hear. So it's like, when I'm dealing with people, I'm like, it is what it is, whatever it is, but don't make it look like something other than what it is, because I can understand explicit, but I can't understand, multi-level agendas. I'm all ice, no berg. I'm a simple Jap,
I think
Right.
I think the same though. I feel exactly the same. Like that whole kind of.
Yeah.
I say to people, I'm black and white. Like, if I like you, I like you. If I don't, then I won't spend time with you. That's like my deal.
Right.
I don't have any in between. Like, I'm like, it's all good. And so I feel exactly the same. I feel very difficult. It's really difficult to gauge that. Are people just saying things to my face and they don't? And it's really hard to then just go, oh, I don't really care.
It's the follow-up.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah,
follow-up.
yeah.
The follow-up is that's how you can discern between who's real and who isn't. If they don't follow up at all ever, then that means that they were kind of taking you. But if they're consistently sending you emails every week and saying, hey, let's get together and all that kind of stuff, that means we genuinely fucking care about you. So,
I was going to say that completely like the opposite. Like, I feel like I have ghosted people unintentionally and just acted in ways that like do not align with my values. But also, don't ever be afraid to reach out to people who you lost, but you had a real connection, because our intuition really is that good. Like, we really did have a good connection.
100%. So Leo.
So as a kid, I always had friends like in school, because I was always the one willing to be friends with the kids who didn't have other friends. And so like that's something that my parents actually like have pointed out to me as an adult, because I'm not one of those people with like a great memory of childhood. Like, I've got a little bit here and there. But you know, like there were always a few friends, and I was never particularly popular. But I also didn't care that much because I had books. And you know, that was between the books and the video games, you know, I had a lot of friendships, I think in those realms, but I had a fairly close group of friends. And you know, through high school, like I developed some good friendships. But then, like, you know, into college, I had some friends, but then it became an issue when lives diverged, right? And so I struggled in college, right? Like, so for a couple of years, ended up like getting kicked out of school. And so like the friends that I had in college, like that were there, kind of moved on, and then, you know, they moved away, and like I went back to college, but like didn't have kind of the same group of friends. And so that's kind of where things shifted. And then it was like, okay, then all of a sudden, like, finally graduate college, but then immediately have a kid, and you know, and my friends have moved away, and you know, I'm dealing with work, and suddenly I'm fighting like anxiety and depression. I have no idea what the hell's going on. And I was always good enough at like kind of having friends at work, and like looking back, I realized that it had a lot to do with just like masking, right? Like I was really good at just like being the person I was supposed to be at work. And like it never went deeper than that. And like, but I like people enjoyed like talking to me, and you know, I would be a little weird, but just weird enough, and like not too weird, because too weird is bad. You can't be too weird.
That's so true.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, there's like a socially acceptable level of weird in the workplace. And so like I really like, you know, put on that mask and wore that. And that lasted for so long. And then, you know, pandemic hit, and that was kind of my like all of a sudden realization of like all of this shit. And I'm just starting, you know, I'm unpacking all of it. And like that was kind of the realization that like I didn't know who the hell I was anymore, because I had masked so long. And like I lost all the friendships that I had because I didn't keep in touch, because it's hard enough when you're not spending all your time like, you know, putting up appearances, but then, you know, you throw that in, and it's like, God, I couldn't text back before. Like, there's no way in hell I'm doing it now, right?
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, like it's like it's something that you need to put energy into it, and when you just don't have that energy, it's just not happening. And so that was like one of the things I realized, and I was like, shit, like I need friends. And like I was going through a rough time, like and kind of trying to unpack all of this, and like I texted some people and like just totally unloaded, because, you know, I went from like 0 to like 1 million, and it's like this guy that I knew from work who had like left. I'm just like all of a sudden like texting this thing, and he's just like, are you all right? Like, this is yeah, no, I'm good. And so it was like it was weird. And so one of the things that I've really worked on doing is like, you know, it kind of goes into everything I'm doing online, and like trying to figure out how to make it easier to build like real relationships, real friendships online, because I see how important that is, and I see how hard everything else makes it. Like social media, it makes it terrible for actually like building relationships, right?
Yep.
And but you know, through like the people here, and this group especially more than anything right now, it's amazing what these real friendships are good for. And I'm still not great, because it's like I still have a hard time. Like I will be the person who is there for you if you ask, but I'm also the person who is like, I can't ask anybody for help ever. Like I don't even necessarily know when I need help, much less it's like then I have to like go ask for it. And like that's just that's something that's always been a bit tough, and I'm getting better at that, I think. But it's just like being able to have like the self-awareness now, and kind of the mission I'm on right now, and you know, I even put it in my Twitter bio. It's that important, right? Is the idea of just embracing my weird, and just being like, you know what, I am weird as shit, and that's okay. Like I can be weird. Enjoying that aspect, and kind of just like forcibly trying to drop the mask, and like, you know, the friendships that stick around or come back are good. And like you, Dorsey, like it's like some things you just gotta let go, and it's like, you know what, I'm just not gonna worry about it, because it's not worth worrying about it.
It'll
Right?
drive you
So
insane.
it will.
You hate yourself.
And so
Can
yeah,
I say a Leo thing?
what's that?
Leo does an amazing friendship thing. Basically, we are two people like us who are into the same thing. So imagine if every one of us was connected to someone else like us that was into the same thing. So we want to fix education.
Like what
We
we're
can't annoy each other.
like what we're doing right now by
That's how I started lecturing HD with my twin in Canada.
I mean at scale. I mean at scale. I mean like imagine if every little kid like us had someone like us that was into the same thing that they're into, so they couldn't annoy each other because they're going apeshit about the same stuff.
And Justin, that's amazing you say that. I will get into that actually in a little bit. Leo, did you have anything else to add?
The one thing I was going to throw out there is like, I think, you know, social media gives us the impression that we need to have these thousands of very shallow relationships, when I think the real beauty of the internet is finding that small group of people that like connects with you on such a level.
100%.
Yes.
And that's those are the level of connections that are important, because they're the ones that actually like change your life. And you know, that's
100%.
It's almost like friendship matters. Like I think someone in here said something like that.
At one point, at some juncture.
But yeah, you know, it really is like, it is something that can absolutely change the trajectory of your life in a way that nothing else ever will.
Because it changes your confidence.
It does.
It changes your confidence when you have people that you can trust around you. That changes it. Terri, can you close us out on this ADHD and friendship discussion?
I mean, to begin with, I'll just say I think I've always had an easy time making friends. And I mean, really, like just thinking about it, it's been mostly just an idea of putting yourself in situations of things that you enjoy or are interested in. Like I played sports ever since I was little. So like I was on a softball team since I was young. I tried soccer. I played field hockey throughout high school. So, and I think there's kind of a different camaraderie when you're on a team with somebody. So like the friendships that form out of that are a bit more intimate than the ones that you might find with other people. Not saying that none aren't, but in my experience, those have been the better ones. So people that I was on a team with, that, you know, you're doing practice, you're running sprints in 90-degree weather for field hockey, and it's like, we can't pretend to be anybody that we're not right now. When you're huffing and puffing and, you know, you're sweating out some whiskey from the night before, like you are who you are. That's all it is. And, but I mean, just for the most part, like, I don't know, last weekend I went out with my parents, there was a live band and I'm just dancing, met a couple friends, you know, you just make, I think just being who you are without thinking, how am I going to make a friend today? Or, oh, I'd like to be that person's friend. Because in the same token, sometimes you could sit back and be like, oh, I really wish I was I wish I was dancing up there with that girl. She looks like she's having so much fun. She looks like she's so much fun. I'd love to be her friend. Like, go dance with her. And then friendship form out of it. And if it's just like a surface level friendship where you're just dancing, then that's still nice enough the way it is, but it might turn into a better friendship because you start talking to each other, you want to go hang out more and everything. So that's just that aspect of like the meeting people, making friends. But wait, when it gets to the actual part that matters, the friendship part of it, I guess a little bit of this is following on that, but like it's so important to have friends that you could show your ugliness to, your dark side, your crying, your anxieties, where you're like, you sound delusional, you sound like you could hear yourself and you want to tell yourself to shut up, but your friends are just like, all right, like come on, I'm right, like I'm right here, I'm not going anywhere, I am still your friend no matter how panicked you might be, no matter how sad you might be, no matter any of that. And then when you're able to share things that you don't even want to be true at all, like things that have happened or whatever, and you're able to share with your friends, it's, my God, it is so healing. Like, I don't even know if I could express, like, I have to give a shout out to you, Lobow, right now. Like, you have been the best friend to me over this year, and like especially this summer, I do not know how I would have gotten through. And Leo too, you're like, yeah, we're your friend, like that. Just basically, and a lot of times you can't see things clearly when you're going through stuff, so it is really good to have those friends to talk to, but it's also good when those friends have different strengths or different perspectives, because then you get to kind of get those different perspectives too. But I mean, and then even when there's no bullshit that you're going through and everybody's good and you're celebrating the way that you could build each other up when you're already at a good level, and then building each other up more from that, like the fucking sky is the limit. That support is everything.
A follow-up comment, basically, that I very much see what Terry's saying about when you find people that you have something in common with, like for Terry, it was sports through school and high school and stuff. For me, I found, actually as an adult, people who are interested in the same geeky stuff as I am. I'm in like an organization for people who love the same kind of fantasy geekery. And then found Twitch and found my people, my clan, whatever you call it, there. And geeky friends are awesome friends, to put it that way.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love that. So I have a short story to tell, and then I'm going to ask you. So I'm telling you what I'm going to ask you after this is, who is your best friend and what did they mean to you? Okay. Do you have a best friend? It is basically the next question I'm going to say after I give my story. So I played football in high school. I went out for the team just to learn about football because I liked football. I am not the most athletic person in the world. I am relatively short or whatnot. However, I joined a good team because I knew where the state championships were going to be held that year. And it was at the college football stadium that I loved. So I decided to join the team solely for the fact that maybe if we go to the state championship, I could run out of the tunnel at this one stadium. That was the whole reason I did it. We had a game and they put in our backup quarterback. He fumbled 3 snaps in a row. We were up 41-7. He fumbled 3 snaps in a row and was demoralized. And so getting on the bus to go back home, no one would sit by him. I'm really glad I'm not in his spot, but I'll sit next to him. And I was like, hey, he said, well, you don't want to sit next to me. I suck. It's like, okay. Can you explain that to me? Why do you suck? And he goes, well, I fumbled 3 snaps in a row. I go, okay, well, you go to a good school. You have a good family. Do you have any brothers and sisters? Yes, I'm Greek. I have 5. Fast forward to now. He was one of the best men in my wedding and surprised me on my birthday a couple weeks ago. This stuff matters, guys. Like, people, it does. I mean, it really does. Because at his lowest point, someone with ADHD that didn't look like they could solve a fucking thing sat next to someone that they never knew and said, you look down, what can I do? That matters in life. So I would like to know who has had the most impact on your life that you could consider a close friend that you keep in contact with, and do you have that person?
I'm going to be the cheesy one here, because love heals, and different types of love. But the first person I really ever let my heart open to is my husband, and love heals.
Perfect. Short and sweet. Dorsey, you are so good at this. Mercedes.
Okay, I'm gonna try to be quick. So
Yeah.
remember I said I'm the friend that everyone comes to when they need help and advice or anything.
Right.
So I realized who my best friend was when my dad passed away. From all of my friends, I had a big group because I was very social. From all of them, only 2 of them came. Only 2 of them were there for me. And well, one of them, who is actually my best friend, I think she's my best friend because she knows my dark side. She understands it, and she never judges me if I ghost her, if I send her too many messages. And she doesn't have ADHD, but she understands me, and she doesn't judge me for who I am. So that's what I think, why I believe she's my best friend, and she's an amazing person.
That's awesome. That's awesome that you have that. Not a lot of people have that. Like, it's incredible. Kirk, can we transfer over to you?
Yeah, absolutely. This was hard.
Yeah, this is a hard thing to talk about. It really is. Like,
well, I think I've had a lot of really, really great people be my friend that I didn't expect to be. But I've talked about my best friend before. We grew up together. We've been friends since we were itty bitty. But I think we very much leaned on each other's strengths for a really long time. He's like my brain, and I'm like his voice.
it's awesome. That's so
He's
awesome.
quiet, but he's a genius. And he always told me he appreciated me because I was smart enough to keep up and have those conversations with him. I'm not as smart as him. I'm never going to pretend like I am. But I think I was the most outgoing person in my friendship group. I was sort of like the front-facing nerd. I was the nerd who played sports. I was so if anybody had to stand up for any of those guys, like it's my job. You're the big guy with the big mouth. So like, that's on you, dude. Like, that's who I had to be.
I get that entirely.
And to find someone who was the opposite side of that coin and who's still very much in my life, I'm pretty lucky. So he's definitely
awesome.
He's definitely number 1.
That is so great. Ross.
It's actually isn't that hard.
That's good,
because I don't have big circles at all, and this is a friend from high school. So, and we're the complete opposite, and we've fallen out along the way because of the way I am versus the way he is. for a long time, he was like, you can't just go and do that because you think you can do it. And I'm like, yeah, I can. Watch. And so,
This is why we love you, Ross.
he's like, you can't just go and make this thing and just do it. And I'm like, I can. Watch. And he's like, oh, yeah. But our pastor's like, he's pulled me out of a ditch from when I crashed my car. I pulled him out of a ditch when he crashed his car. We both went for lunch after both occasions, and we were always there. It's like the best situation. That. And nowadays, I mean, we were young in our teens at the time, and like nowadays, I think the best way I can put it is that he is so risk averse. He had bought his first house when he was 18.
Jesus.
Yeah, he was very. I still haven't, so don't worry about it. It's fine. And it's just like he is so like measured, and I think I've brought out more risk. Like he started his own company this year, and he calls me now to ask me for advice on things like that. He calls me to say, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? Am I doing the right thing? And most of the time, I'm just like, look, you've got to think about this. I fucking know, it's fine, but don't worry about it. But like, it's more the fact that he is so risk averse that he can't think like that. And so he calls on me when it comes to thinking about things in a different way. And when I need reining in, which is pretty much most days, I speak to him and he just goes, is that a good idea? And I'm like, it's not a good idea, Sam, but I'm probably going to do it anyway. And so for me,
it's comfortable.
We balance each other, and we've caused a lot of friction along the way. But at the same time, the phone goes, and I'm there. I'll jump on the plane, and I'll be there. 100%.
Absolutely.
And he's the same, 100%.
God, I love that so much. Blushing, let's go to you, because I feel like I really, God. I'm sorry. Is blushing not the best ever, people? Like, honestly, like, just sorry, I had to throw that out there. What do you think?
I can't pick one person.
Exactly.
Because I am very, very, very blessed to have a small handful of very, very good close friends. And the qualities I think are very similar with those friendships. It is, like someone was saying, the dark sides of us, the things that are going to be tiring to handle and sometimes too much. Yes, because I am hyperactive, and I do talk a lot, and sometimes I'll write big paragraphs. I've learned to cut them into smaller pieces and all that, but they're big, but people who are of that small group of really close friends all know how to handle it. They can handle me as just being me, and I can handle that from them. So I would say that's I can't pick one. I can pick a very few.
I agree with you.
Actually, I will say that there's a representation of ADHD people in there, and there's also neurotypical / almost neurotypical people in there. So it's not like all ADHD kind of camp, right?
You have an eclectic group.
Oh yeah, and my bigger circle, because I do have other friends that are very meaningful to me, friendships. Right. But you can't all have them in the inner circle, like the less than 10 people circle.
Right. Less than 10. I resonate with that too. Terri, do you have?
I'm going to choose to talk about one of my best friends that it has only been 1 year since we've known each other, and we were instant best friends and talk every single day. We met at a work convention thing, and we just instantly, the first night, because we're both like, when are they gonna let us get some wine around here? So then we just start talking, and then we're the ones that's like, you know what, everybody, let's go out, let's go do something, instead of just going back to the hotel rooms and dancing in a dive bar, getting everybody to go do karaoke. Who cares if this is a work thing? Just having fun. But then also being able to talk about like our like ambitions and like the things that are important to us when it comes like in the work world and everything like that. So we got very close very fast. Even she invited me to her wedding that was a couple of months away from the day that we met. So I drove like 4 hours to her for her bridal shower and her wedding. And she's neurotypical, but man, oh man, she's got ADHD people in her life. She was just saying something about that yesterday. She's like, "You're one of my 3." And so she understands exactly how to communicate with us and motivate us. Because there will be times where I'm like, without me having to say, but like she'll be like, "Okay, you just need to like vent and get it out. Like I'm not gonna try and sway you one way or another on anything." And then there are times where she's like, "Okay," so I have to give her a shout out. She's my bestie, and I don't know.
Excellent.
She's
I love
just
it.
the best.
I love it. Leo, bring us home, and then we will do 2 minutes apiece of what we are most proud of, and then have a good Friday night.
All right. I do have a really great friend from high school, and so it's kind of funny, like looking back. He was actually just recently diagnosed with ADHD too. Not that that's a surprise at all.
He needs to be on the podcast, so just
we could actually. So yeah, it's funny because like he moved away, like he's out of state. But I'll actually be hanging out with him tomorrow, I think.
Excellent.
Because his mom was throwing a baby shower for his wife, and so we're getting together and drinking beer. And so that's but yeah, like kind of looking back, like so we met at like a band party before freshman year, and so he had moved in from like a different school, and the first time we met, we bonded over wrestling and our love of Metallica. And so it involved a wrestling match, and it was just delightfully weird and awkward. And we carried that on. And yeah, the one thing I can say, like, we're not always the great at like texting each other on the regular, or it'll be like we'll text like a few messages and then like not for a month. But then anytime we get together, it's like no time elapsed at all, which I think is the best thing about ADHD friendship, because it is like, it doesn't matter how long you go between times. It just picks up exactly where it left off.
It's the best thing about any friendship, not just ADHD. That right there is the
I feel like it's more
that's
ADHD
the definition
friendship
of friendship, though.
But the ADHD time blindness really, I think, weighs into the fact that like,
because we feel guilty when we haven't reached out or whatever, but then when we get back together, it's the same thing. Over you have something special there, Leo, because that is the definition to me.
Yeah, I think that is really like but what is the most remarkable part, because it's just like nothing ever changes, and it's like we're telling the same stories or variations or just weird shit that we've done, and it's always a good time, and that's something that it's like I wish it would happen more often at times, but it is hard when you live across the country and whatever, but that's
good for you.
It's fun.
Good for you. Okay, so before we close it out, Mercedes, what are you most proud of?
I don't know. I mean, but I can think of something that happened this week.
Absolutely.
It's not the thing that I'm the most proud of, but it's something I remember. So that's
what a great response. That's the greatest response ever.
No, and I actually wanted to ask you, but now we're running out of time, but I wanted to ask you, did you guys learn this week? So this week I learned something amazing, and that is, for me, it's really hard as an older woman to make new friends. And I found that through the internet, you can get to meet people who are like-minded, and that's amazing. And so lately I found out that there's a whole community on Twitch that they do like co-working streams, and I didn't know about that. You guys, if you have problems, of course, focusing, getting there, it's amazing. I see that blushing is going like this, and yes, it really helps.
Can
And
someone
it's a
put
beautiful
Shannon's
community.
thing in the thing for Mercedes? Shannon, does that,
It's
and she's
such
phenomenal.
a beautiful community, you guys. And I met this guy, and he's from Spain. We were talking. I was being honest about my ADHD because I don't tell about that to people that don't have ADHD. I mean, I don't talk much about it. And we were talking about copywriting because he's a copywriter too. And I actually landed a very big client just by becoming friends with this guy who's amazing. And I told him about my ADHD, and he was like, yeah, oh my God. Well, that means that you might be a very good copywriter. And I was like, wow, all of this time I was not saying I have ADHD because maybe I lose a client because of that. And then, all of a sudden I realized that lands me the biggest client I've ever had so far. So what I learned this week is don't network, make friends. But yeah, I mean, I'm
Smart.
very much into business and all that stuff because I don't know, I like that. But
Mercedes,
yeah,
you're going to help me out with
the Twitch
copywriting
community.
issues. You're going to help me
Okay.
out. You're going to help me out because I am so copyright terrible. Terri, what are you most proud of?
So Dorsey is my ADHD coach now.
Oh,
And we
yes.
had,
Yes. Fuck, I'm done. I'm leaving.
so her brilliance, expertise, resources,
Knowledge.
all of that. All of that is
Too much.
helping me get my shit together.
And just enough.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love that.
But so the assignments I've been working on this week were about like needs and values, and
Dorsey is coaching you ADHD wise. There couldn't be a better one. I love it. Oh my God.
and I love
that
this
right
stuff.
there
I mean,
makes me so pumped up. I can't even tell you. Like, that is the purpose for this. Like,
right.
connecting people
It's
that can.
awesome.
Yes. God.
I love it.
Ross, what are you most proud of?
I don't know if it's kind of a mix, right? So it's a mix between Mercedes' point of what I learned this week and what I'm proud of, because it comes in together at the same time. Because I'm lucky in the fact that I hate having a corporate job because I hate the corporate life. You can just read my Twitter and you can see how much I fucking hate corporate life. It pays my bills and it pays me very well, so I can't. Anyway. But one of the benefits of it is the fact that it has a counselling service, and I was recommended them by another person who had ADHD, and the counsellor equally has ADHD. So it's like the best, most dysfunctional situation ever, but it helps me massively to understand certain things. And one of the things I went with today, this week, a couple of days ago, was like as you know, there's that huge imbalance of either always on or just not. And when you're not, it's just really bad. And it's like the barometer of trying to find that middle. And when I'm on, I'm really focused at the moment. I know where I want to be. I'm super focused, but it means my mind's working at like 1,000 miles an hour. And it's like 1,000 miles an hour I can't stop. Like, I can't sleep, anything. Like, I'm just going constantly, and it's just creative mentalness. And I just can't slow it down. And I went to them and I was like, how can I manage this? And he said, have you ever managed to manage it? And I went, no, like, of course I haven't. That's why I'm asking you this question. And he said, well, how about instead of fighting it, you know that this is the way you are, so don't fight it. So instead of fighting it, embrace the fact that you're always going to be running at 1,000 miles an hour. When you're in this situation, he said, we've done a load of stuff to stop you going the other way, like to make sure that every time you go that way, you quickly come back. But you know that when you're at this way, you're always going to be at 1,000 miles an hour. So what you've got to do is, because we use the like engine analogy, you're always going to be driving at 1,000 miles an hour. It's like, just make sure you can take some pit stops along the way. So find something to give yourself a mental break along the way. So instead, embrace the fact that when you are driving, you're 1,000 miles an hour. But you can't always be going 1,000 miles an hour, because guess what? No, you can't sustain that, because you can't. It's mental. It really it's really hard. But you need to find a way to break that up. So
100%.
That's a massive part of what I've learned. But at the same time, all of this has been a part of embracing the me. So one of the things I'm super proud of is the fact that I'm super open with my work and things like that, and the way I am. Like I'm just say that I can't do these things. This is not me, and I am completely 100% proud of myself in the last year that I've just turned around, and instead of just trying to do something that doesn't fit with who I am, I just turn around and I'm like, this isn't me. But this is me. And I had a huge conversation with our head of product management yesterday, and I explained my entire life. Obviously, I overshared like shitloads, and and in fact, our entire hour meeting was 45 minutes of me just talking at him about my life, which is great. But I said, I know what I'm good at, and if you want to utilize me in the best way, put me in places like this, and don't make me do that. And he was like, I'm 100% with you. He was like, I'm so glad you shared that, and I can't wait to use you in the best way. But I haven't ever done that before.
Don't lose that person. Don't lose that person.
But it's the first time I've ever managed to feel confident in being able to be that person.
That's fantastic. You know? I love that. Thank you, Ross. Kirk, what do we got?
This week, let's see, what am I proud of? Because I've been traveling, like I took more time off work than normal, came back, super busy. We have a bunch of new people at work, but they've been active, and I was worried I wasn't going to do well, blah, 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 blah. I like my job. I feel like I'm good at my job most of the time. And my boss's boss showed up to visit, and he's, saw me, hey, you're doing a great job this month. And I was like, oh, I'm actually working towards this other goal that was much higher. And he kind of was like, I've never seen anyone do that before. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, no one's like, there's this goal that they sort of have that's like on paper. But he's like, yeah, no one's actually done that. And I was like, what do you mean no one's ever done that? He's like, well, that's about to change. And that was like,
love that.
And then he said something else. Oh, hey, there's this weird incentive for me, and I'd really like if I could get 9 of this thing. And I was like, okay, so we got to get 9. He's like, no, like you only need to get 3 as an entire, where your branch only needs 3. And I was like, how long do we have to do this? It's like a week. I was like, okay, what if I get 9 by myself? I was like, I'll just get 9. He's like, if you get 9, he goes, if you get 9, I'll pay you my entire bonus. And I said, oh, okay, sure. And then he saw me and was like, oh no, he's serious. Like he realized that, like he offered me his bonus, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And 10 minutes later, I was like, 1 down, 8 to go. Just, and he's like, wait, for real?
So you had 16 by the end of the
he might owe me his bonus by the end of the month. But like that's
exactly. Just
putting myself in a position to succeed, despite running around like a crazy person all month. Because I worked hard before I left, and I've worked hard when I got back. Like I've created some consistency for myself. Like just keeping the one thing that I need, baseline to survive, that being my job, in a really, really, really good spot, no matter what the rest of me is doing, felt good.
I love it. I love it. Blushing, what are you most proud of?
I have been in the process, as many of you know, some of you may not know, that to start ADHD medication. It has been 26 days. We're starting day 27.
No way.
And I talked to the psychiatrist tonight, and I was able to track my effects, no side effects so far, like by date, and write it down in a book. I'm proud of that. And what I'm very happy about is that the fact that I did that and could very clearly tell the psychiatrist on the phone today what had happened and not happened and such, that he's basically upping my dose from the dose I'm on now to the expected adult dose
There
that
you
he
go.
thought that I would be on
There
from
you
Monday.
go.
From Monday, literally in 2 days from now. And then if I need more, I already asked him about that. So I remembered to ask him about it. So I'm proud of that too.
Love it.
That what happens if that's not enough, if it doesn't last all day, for instance. Oh, and I got a response for that as well. And we have a plan.
Love it.
That's awesome.
That is just
Oh, and I remembered to get cleared for driving.
no shit.
You have to, over here, you have to get cleared for driving by the doctor or a psychiatrist. And
if you have ADHD,
medication.
Okay,
This is a red
got it,
triangle
okay,
medication.
got it,
You
got it,
have
got
to
it.
ask. But yeah, I remember to ask
is
as well. So there's
unbelievable.
multiple things.
Wow. Look at Blushing's confidence right now. I love this. We're gonna. Oh my god, I have so many highlight videos to make. Leo, what are you most proud of?
Oh, let's see. Something that I've worked on embracing is letting myself relax just a little bit more, and like not pushing myself. Like over the weekend, didn't get as many things done on like the side projects and everything as I was hoping to, and that I normally try to get done. And I just let that go. And it kind of just taking a longer view of things. It's like every little bit is good, but I'm not racing to get things done. And so yeah, just like being able to kind of
Enjoy life.
enjoy life, be a little more free flowing with it, and just like, yeah, it'll get there. Like there's absolutely no rush. Like I'm not on anybody's time schedule. And so that's something that's good, because a lot of times I do put myself under a lot of pressure to just like, you've got to do this today, now. Like you do it now.
I have no idea what that feels like.
Yeah, no,
there's no, like,
none of us do, right?
Yeah.
Which is that's why it's like so astonishing. Like it's just it's uncommon, but yeah, just still working on it. I'm sure it'll kick back into gear, but before too long. But for now, I'm just going to enjoy it and see where it goes.
You're proud of relaxing,
Yeah,
which is what not a lot of people with ADHD can do. And Dorsey, what are you most proud of?
So I am going to actually do something that I invite you all to do. I'm going to celebrate a piece of me. I am really proud of my animal empathy, because I love animals and they really connect with me, and I am proud of that piece of me.
That is awesome. So what I'm most proud of, 30 seconds. I am most proud of my ability to make friends and then bring friends together like this. I'm very proud of this, but I'm also very proud of the fact that I will never give up on anyone if I think they have a good heart. And I think that is what friendship actually is if you know that someone has a good heart, don't fucking give up on them ever. That, and just in my opinion, and I know that it takes a lot of work or whatever, but the thing is, what else are you working on? What else are you working on? I turned to friendship. That was my coping strategy. And then I realized that this isn't a coping strategy. This is what fucking works, is having close people that support you every day. So anyways, I am most proud of having a very large number of close friends that I could call in a split second and they would be here. If you have that, and you invest time in the relationships that you have, you can't fail, because they won't let you. Quote Leo Guinan. And I'm honored by all of this. So that's what I am most proud of.
What is your profession?